Welcome to Vayse, a podcast about weird stuff. I'm Hine, and joining me as always is my old friend and co-host. He's swaggering into 2024 with some cool shades and a fresh mullet, and his New Year's resolution is to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and he's all out of bubblegum. It's Mr. Stephen James Buckley.
He lives.
He does live.
Hi everyone, and thank you for that introduction. It's I was pondering today on Hine's introductions for me, and I was thinking they're all so affectionate, and it's like what have I done to deserve that affection? And it reminded me of something from when we were younger, which I did to him, which it deserves the opposite of affection. So once me and Hine were walking to school, and I think we were probably about 13 or 14, and I pushed him so that he landed in dog shit.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yeah, I do.
You push it not your whole body, or you just stood in it.
No, just my foot. Yeah,
yeah. And then you
Son of a bitch.
You sort of pushed me, or you picked me up and like threw me over this wall into someone's garden.
Yeah,
but no, it's just
no less than you deserved.
No, I mean, I'd rather be in a garden than in dog shit. But no, it just made me think of, just sort of all the terrible things I've done to you. I just felt like I should share with the listener that, sort of we have quite a complex dynamic here. It's not simply that we're friends. It's that we're friends, one of whom pushed the other one into dog shit
many years ago.
And yet he's still nice to him. Yeah. So what are we doing tonight, Hine?
So at the beginning of last year, we did the weird review of the year. And this year we're going to do exactly the same, except for 2023 instead of 2022. Now, we've given it a bit of a revamp.
Shouldn't that be... No, sorry, I'm getting my years wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good job that I'm helming this one.
Yeah.
But we're giving
this one.
I mean podcast.
As opposed to all the other episodes that I helm.
I mean this podcast in general.
Yeah.
So we've given a bit of a revamp. We've got a new voice to announce the years. We're going to use Mr. Christopher Walken, or
friend of the show.
Friend of the show. So say hello, Christopher.
Hello, dear listeners. It is I, a virtual rendering of the acclaimed actor Christopher Walken, and not a very good one. But this is all the Vayse budget would allow. Despite being in no way affiliated with the real Christopher Walken, I'm excited to be dragging his good name through the dirt by way of association with these two weird motherfuckers, Hine and Buckley. Let's go.
Thank you, Christopher. 2023 was quite a weird year by anyone's measure, I think. There was a lot that went on, not just in Vayse and in our lives, but like the whole UFO thing, the whole AI thing really kind of kicked off a lot in 2023. And we did have a great year on the podcast as well. We interviewed Bob motherfucking Freeman twice in 2023. Twice.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Amongst other people, we also interviewed both of the guys from the Nonsense Bazaar, Nathan Paul Isaac from Pennyroyal, Douglas Batchelor, Dara Mason. I mean, I could keep going on and on about all these.
Stephanie Quick, Paul Wester. I mean, I don't want to leave anyone out now, but don't worry, because we need to name all of them, don't we?
I've built it into the weird review of the year that I'll name everyone we interviewed, so so everyone will get their dues. But yeah, so it does seem like a long year as well. Like it just seemed to go on and on forever. So there is like tons for us to get through. But before I do start going through the year month by month, like we did last year, there's one thing that I wanted to kind of highlight that had been going on all year, but wasn't associated with any particular month, and that was a debate that seemed to be taking up a lot of time on social media, which was due to a study at the very end of 2022, which had the idea that 1% of the population cannot mentally visualize anything at all. So if you say to them, like, imagine a cow, most people, to a greater or lesser degree, will get a picture of a large bloodthirsty bovine mammal in their heads. But like these people just don't see anything. It's just a blank space. They know the concept of a cow, but there's no picture of one in their head.
Okay.
It seems to be like very sort of relevant to magic because, there's a lot of esoteric practices that require kind of active imagination and that kind of thing. And I actually engage a lot with those kind of practices, but I don't feel as though I have a particularly strong mind's eye. like do you have like a strong visual imagination?
It's hard to say really, because I've never had anyone else's imagination.
Yeah.
So I've nothing to compare it with. I mean, I know I have a strong imagination for imagining terrible situations that might happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know necessarily how visual that is. I don't know. It's really hard to say without.
It's like, I think I'm probably somewhere in between. Like I don't think it's always been the case. I think as a kid I had a really like visual imagination, but I just think that there's like even though we live within really visual society, I don't think that there's much encouragement to spend any time really visualizing, because
it's quite the opposite.
Yeah,
it's literally you're handed like everything you need on a plate.
Exactly.
Or on a
you could
phone.
Scroll through Instagram to see as many visual images as you want. You can find videos on YouTube. There's more TV than any one person could ever watch. So I just wonder if it's something that you can kind of strengthen, because apparently, like, we're not born with the ability to imagine, is what this study was saying. Instead, kind of visual images emerge in early childhood, and then decline in adulthood. So there is kind of a tendency to be less visual in your imagination as you get older. Apparently, some people are completely mind blind and can't visualize anything at all, and that's called aphantasia. And I think, have we mentioned this before on Vayse?
We've not mentioned it on Vayse, but it's been discussed on our Discord, I think.
Right, because apparently Aidan Wachter is completely mind blind almost, despite so much of his work being associated with journeying and mental visualization and stuff. And then on the other end of the scale, you got someone like Jason Miller, who just seems to hallucinate very readily. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just thought I'd raise this because it'd been on my mind a lot this year.
Yeah, but I mean, I've always known you as someone with a very vivid imagination. Obviously, I don't know what it's like visually, but just in terms of like a powerful imagination, but also the shamanic journeying you're doing. I guess that in a way makes it all the more incredible, the fact that if your visual imagination isn't all that powerful, the fact that you're still seeing all this stuff is
yeah, and it's weird because
really.
Some of that stuff kind of isn't transferred into your mind through something visual or something audible. It kind of is just there, like received by some other form of perception. I've also read that some people can't imagine their own voice in their heads.
Right, like they've got no inner monologue.
Yeah, did you know about that?
Yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, because I have a cacophony of voices in my head at any one given time.
Yeah, definitely.
Some of them are me, some of them aren't.
If I'm left alone for long enough periods of time, then I just start talking to myself.
Yeah.
Like saying things out loud and stuff. I think that's probably normal. I think the thing is with stuff like that, it's impossible. Like I say, it's impossible to compare yourself properly to other people unless you're at one of the extremes.
Yeah.
So kind of, I don't think you need to worry about it.
No. Let's move on.
I think you're okay.
Yeah. Okay, we can put that one to bed then. I feel better about that now. So take it away, Christopher.
January 2023.
Okay, so for a year that was full of UFO sightings, that was kind of how January started. On January the 3rd, Russian forces in a region over Sultan Sala in Rostov Oblast's Mayakovsky district. I don't know why I put myself through saying all of that. Shot down an unidentified object. According to the governor, Vasily Golubev, the object was a small-size object in the shape of a ball, and had been spotted and flying in the wind, and the decision had been made to liquidate it.
Was it a ball?
I guess it was a ball.
Like a small object the size of a ball.
Yeah, like just a ball.
That's a ball, isn't it? A ball's a shape.
Yeah, the ball's a shape and a thing.
So it was a ball.
They could
have just said a ball rather than a. Anyway. Balls to that. Let's get on with it.
Yeah, he also said,
pedantic.
I urge everyone to remain calm. We'll put a video of this in the show notes. So yeah, I mean, UFOs, they were all over the place in 2023.
Or were they?
Well, we don't know. I mean, there was definitely
UAPs is what you need to call them now, which is not what I'm going to do. But
no, it's too difficult.
No, it's now I know how like all people feel when they have to give people the correct pronouns. That's what I'm like with UFOs and UAPs. Yeah, I mean, there's just a hell of a lot of crazy disinformation going on at the moment. I think, especially this year. I mean, obviously we'll get into that more once we get to the but I don't see this personally being any different.
No,
although obviously the Russian news sources are known for their trustworthiness. I just can't,
and particularly like with them being at war at the moment as well.
Yeah. It's
I'd be surprised if the sky wasn't full of weird stuff.
Yeah.
So in a tweet on January the 11th, Uri Geller blamed intelligent extraterrestrials for the recent major outage of the Federal Aviation Administration's IT system, which saw thousands of flights grounded across the United States, and for similar issues with social media platforms such as Facebook and WhatsApp in months leading up to it. And what he said was, this is just out now. All flights grounded after major system failure sparks travel chaos in the United States. I mean, a few months ago, we had the internet down, WhatsApp down. I have no doubt in my mind that aliens are testing our so-called sophisticated systems. This is major. Lots of UFOs have been spotted over nuclear plants, nuclear submarines and so on. They're doing something. They're testing us. Starting in the 1940s near A-bomb development sites. More recently, something has been stalking nuclear carrier strike groups. Pentagon says we don't know what these UFOs are.
Yeah, it's with the Uri Geller stuff. I mean, obviously, as usual, as with all of his crazy tweets, there's absolutely no proof.
Yeah.
Although he occasionally posts like a picture, doesn't he? And it's like a scene from the X-Files or something.
Yeah, there's been absolutely no evidence to back up any of the assertions he made in January.
Yeah, and it's like, but the thing is with him, like, he's so tricky to work out because he's not a stupid guy. Like, and he's it's not his first rodeo.
No,
but does he believe this, and is he just really, really incredibly naive, or is there some kind of agenda behind him posting it, like some kind of like grift or something? But then it's like, what benefit does it have for him? Because all it is on Twitter. It's not like he's selling. I kind of can't really work out what his angle is. I can't work out how in any way it could be beneficial to him.
Yeah, I'm reading at the moment Annie Jacobson's Phenomena, which is really good. It's got a lot about Uri Geller in there, and a lot of the evidence for what he used to do. I know we said this before, but a lot of that, when you hear it kind of laid out, is quite amazing stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And have I talked about my Uri Geller experience on here before?
It might have been on one of the episodes that we didn't release.
Yeah, maybe. Because back in like the early 90s, Uri Geller had a TV special on the BBC. And one of the things that he was kind of famously did on TV and radio shows was ask you to get a broken watch or clock. And then at one point he would say 1, 2, 3 work. And then everyone at home would have to say 1, 2, 3 work. So me and my sister, who's just a couple of years younger than me, we were maybe like, I was maybe 8 or something. She might have been 6. We grabbed this old clock off the mantelpiece. My grandfather had been an antiques dealer, so it was an old clock, not very big.
Was it a grandfather clock?
It was not a grandfather clock, but it was a clock provided by a grandfather. A grandfather's clock, yeah. I mean, maybe it was like 10 inches high and quite a solid thing. But the important thing here is that it had never really worked. It was always broken. It was a bit of a dud, and presumably how we ended up with it, and it wasn't sold in the shop. So in my whole life, that clock had never worked. It had never been wound. It just sat there on the mantelpiece as an ornament. So me and my sister grabbed it just as for fun. And we held it in front of the TV and we did the 1, 2, 3 work with Uri Geller. And immediately the clock, without being wound or anything, just started ticking.
Yeah.
And it ticked for like maybe 10 minutes, maybe quarter of an hour, and then stopped again. Never worked again after that. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before or since. Yeah, it's not like a power that I possess. So it's some sort of secondary effect of the Uri Geller power.
The thing is, like, that whole milieu, that whole kind of Andrej Puharic and all the stuff that he was doing, and all the stuff that, you know, the US military, etc., were doing around that time, there was obviously something in it because a hell of a lot of money went into it, and they were getting results, like with the remote viewing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, there was actual sort of tangible results. Some of it was bollocks, I'm sure, but some of it was legitimate. There's something going on there, and I think there's something with Uri Geller. It's just, I think that it's that thing where, so, you know, say if, like, I've heard that some really high-profile musicians just mime.
Yeah.
And they just mime into a backing track because people are paying so much money, they have so much resting on, like, playing a gig. They can't risk anything going wrong at all because it would, like, the insurance that would have to be paid out would be so ridiculous. So they basically mime to a backing track to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Because although they can still sing it probably and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that they're a bad singer. It means that they're just not taking any risks because they can't do it brilliantly and on command and stuff like that every time. And it's like, it's a similar principle. You know, it could be that Uri Geller does possess or did possess some kind of power, but he knows it's not repeatable, you know, kind of constantly. And
I mean, one of the things it says in the Annie Jacobson book is kind of like that he kind of felt like he had a limited repertoire, you know, because he could bend a spoon, you know, make a stopped watch start again. He could do a little bit of mind reading and that sort of thing. But, like, how do you keep that fresh, you know? Because if you're like a musician, you do a tour for each album, you know, you play your best songs and you introduce new ones. But if you have just a psychic power, it's always going to be similar. You know, you could maybe push it in one direction or another, but you just have that limited one power. And I wonder if there was sort of an element of him having to be an entertainer kind of took over. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's like showmanship, isn't it?
But,
he's a bonkers guy. I was watching that Third Eye Spies documentary.
Oh yeah.
I watched it on Christmas Day. Nice. So I watched it on my 42nd birthday, and my wife had gone to bed, and I was like, right, I'm going to treat myself to watching a documentary about remote viewing. He was on that.
I sympathise with that though, because on my 40th birthday, I watched the first episode of Hell Yeah. Thought everyone had gone to bed, and I treated myself.
You understand.
So also on the 11th of January, a study was published in the Journal of Sleep Research suggesting that poor sleep is linked to paranormal beliefs around aliens, ghosts, and demons. Now, this stuck in my head because both you and I have well-documented problems with sleep. I'm going through a real phase at the moment where I wake up at maybe 3 or 4 in the morning and can't get back to sleep, but I don't want to get up either, so I just kind of lie in bed, and then usually I nod off like at maybe about 5 to 6 or something, like just before my alarm goes off.
No, what you need, man, is Melvin Bragg. You need to get
back on, get on in our time.
Right, so there's 2 ways you could look at this, being a Scully here. Firstly, if you don't get enough sleep, then you're more likely to
hallucinate
or just be paranoid.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm tired, when I'm properly like sleep deprived, like when I've had 2 or 3 nights of bad sleep or no sleep, I think some pretty weird shit as well. You know, irrational. Not saying that these things are irrational, but saying that like they're kind of outside of consensus thinking sort of thing a bit. So that's one way of looking at it. And the other way is, you know, just the fact that knowing these things are around is enough to make you not
sleeping. Yeah,
you could argue that. You could be like, shit, you know. Bigfoot could be out there.
I mean, I think like previous studies have linked these sort of beliefs to sleep paralysis and exploding head syndrome, both of which we've talked about a bit on the Discord. And when I say we, I mean the whole community, not just you and I. But like, you can see that because there's almost a paranormal element to those things. when you have sleep paralysis, you see
something, don't you?
Yeah, dark figure or the hag or whatever. When you have exploding head syndrome, it's just weird. I've had that once in my life, and that was horrible. I've also had sleep paralysis once, so I've had one dose of each. But overall, they found that these beliefs are more common amongst those who get fewer hours of sleep a night, or take longer to fall asleep, or struggle with insomnia or low sleep efficiency. But most strikingly, they found that around 2/3 of those who experienced sleep paralysis or exploding head syndrome were convinced that aliens had already walked amongst us, compared to just 3.4% of the total sample.
Right.
So whilst not sleeping enough raised your probability of believing in ghosts and demons and whatnot, if you have sleep paralysis or exploding head syndrome, you're very likely, or a lot more likely than a normal person, to believe in these things. Is that do you think some connection to, some other power or something? Do you think there's a connection there or not? Or do you think it's...
I think it's to do with the depth at which you think, and sort of I guess people who are more prone to sort of over-analysis are less prone to sleeping well. Find it harder to sleep.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm only talking on a sample size here of 2, which is me and you. But sort of it is true that a lot of overthinking can cause sleep problems.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if that's sort of somehow linked to that kind of the same thing that would cause people to think. So what would be interesting would be to look at the comparison with belief in these supposedly supernatural things, and then compare that to, say, people who are religious.
Yeah.
So, because in both instances, you've got people who are thinking about something that's outside of consensus reality. You've got people thinking about something or believing in something which is, almost which is related to kind of, kind of the outside of regular sort of experience. So if we're thinking that religious experiences are based on something which could be called supernatural, and it is a similar thing, you wonder if they also have problems sleeping. The religiously inclined people.
I also wonder about the effect of drugs, mental health, both of which can affect your sleep and make you more prone, like you say, to paranoia or alternative belief systems and so on.
I mean, also, I guess some of it is the sort of almost like canals and routes that you take socially through life.
Yeah.
So if you're a kid who's into weird shit, you're more likely to, say, be around people who are a bit more counterculture, a bit more not the popular kids, basically.
Sure, yeah.
And so you're more likely to have horrendously low self-esteem because you were bullied all through high school.
Are we still going through a sample of 2 here?
Yeah, and then you're more likely to not be able to sleep.
Yeah, okay.
This is just like a therapy session, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much am I paying you for this?
I'll tell you later.
No, but it does seem to I don't really think there's not much of a crossover between people who are really, really well adjusted and people who sort of. So once I got an ad on Facebook from another guy called Stephen Buckley. And he was this guy from New Zealand, and he was a fucking model or something. He was all his pictures were him surfing and with his top off, and he was really bronzed and he was just an absolute Adonis.
Yeah.
And it was just he added me just because I had the same name as him, but he was probably just having a laugh with his friends and comparing us both. And we're not friends anymore. I don't know what happened, but
did he defriend you?
I think so. I didn't defriend him. He might have just got rid of Facebook. I don't know.
Yeah,
because he was maybe it was depressing him because he kept comparing himself to me.
Yeah.
But my point is that Stephen Buckley wouldn't have started a podcast.
No, or maybe that's why. Maybe that's why he went off Facebook. Maybe he does.
Yeah, at least not one about this. He might have started one about being really handsome or something.
Yeah, surfing.
But Stephen, if you're out there, reach out to me, man. I'm still here. We can still be friends. Yeah.
Okay,
oh, God.
So finally, for January, in a recent study, January of 2023, Scientists discovered that juveniles of a certain sea spider species, which I'm not going to say the name of, but I'll link to in the show notes, they're actually marine arthropods rather than true arachnids, but they do look a lot like spiders. They've got a lot of them have 8 legs.
Yeah, the spiders.
Yeah. But they're not only capable of regrowing lost limbs, as if that wasn't amazing enough, but they can also regrow their reproductive organs and anus.
They can regrow. How do they lose their anus?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems pretty careless to me. But
isn't an anus, like, I could understand someone losing a leg, but losing an anus, you'd have to actually.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite different from us.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been assumed for years that sea spiders didn't possess this ability because it had never been observed.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I assume that most things can't lose or regrow their anus.
It's a fairly safe starting point. But now, by amputating body parts and watching them grow back, researchers were able to conclusively demonstrate this particular feat in action. So basically, someone somewhere is being paid to cut off sea spiders' anuses.
Like, I love how they went straight to the anus. It was like, right, we'll try a leg. Yeah. And he's like, okay, this appendage that sticks out is coming off. What should we try next? Well, it's a spider. There's not an awful lot going on, really, is there? Yeah. You know, it's like you've got a body, you've got a head, you've got legs. Where do you go from there?
Yeah.
And the answer is the anus.
You can imagine they cut off the anus and then it's like, somebody get me the newspapers.
I would say it was more cut out than cut off.
Yeah.
Unless the anus is outside of the... Do you know what I mean? Like an appendage. I don't know. See, this is why people don't sleep.
This is true, yeah. This is also why people have to do these studies, you know, because...
Yeah.
I don't know where we'd be in 2024 if someone hadn't cut off a sea spider's anus in 2023.
No.
And so for us, we started the new year with the Weird Review of the Year for 2022. And halfway through the month of January, we interviewed Jennifer Lane.
We did.
Yeah, the author of The Wheel, which was excellent. And she's released 2 books in 2023. Which we can link to in the show notes if anyone wants to catch up with those. So there was another book of witchcraft, and there was a young adult novel that also came out.
I hope they do well.
Yeah, I'm sure they are doing. Let's move on.
February 2023.
Saturday, 4th of February, 2023. The United States shoots down what was at first considered a UFO balloon over the east coast of the country. It was later clarified that this was a suspected Chinese spy balloon, although China maintained that it was for meteorological purposes, but the US insists it had been spying. And you can see television footage of this sort of being shot and falling from the sky. We'll put a link in the show notes. And there are photos of the debris being recovered, which, if you're of paranoid mind, bring to mind the balloon debris photographs from the Roswell incident.
Roswell, yeah.
Holding up the sort of foil and so on. They're very, very similar. This was followed about a week later on the 10th of February by an unidentified object being shot down over Alaska by the US military. US officials said that the targeted aircraft brought down on that day was considerably smaller than the Chinese balloon that was down the Saturday before, and carefully avoided characterizing it as a balloon or a drone or a plane, giving nothing away about the description of the object other than its rough size, its altitude, and its direction of travel. So there's still not really been, I couldn't find any real confirmation about what that object was over Alaska. But this sort of set off the madness that was 2023. So I hadn't, when I was doing this, I hadn't really realized that it happened so early in the year, the spy balloon and so on. But during the first 2 weeks of February, the US military shot down 4 UFOs. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying they're probably not aliens. I mean, they've kind of been identified as balloon or balloon-like objects since. So we had the one that we've talked about, the two that we've talked about actually. Then we've had on the day after that, on February the 11th, the US shot down a cylindrical object over northern Canada. The US and Canada worked together to take the object down. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that the country would analyze the wreckage. A national security spokesperson said before the fourth flying object was down that these objects did not closely resemble and were much smaller than the Chinese balloon. Because then on the 12th of February, an F-16 used a missile to destroy an airborne object flying about 20,000 feet over Lake Huron in Michigan. The Department of Defense noted that the location chosen to shoot it down allowed them to avoid impact to people on the ground while improving chances for debris recovery. Now, I mean, I'm sure that none of these objects were extraterrestrial.
No, I mean, I remember reading or listening to something someone was saying that what happened was that the military technology to detect them improved and updated around that time. They like got some new shit going on that meant they could see things and a lot better. So suddenly they were seeing all these balloons that would have been there before, and they just wouldn't have seen them.
Yeah, and just downing anything that they thought might be a threat.
Yeah, I mean, because like you say, the balloon thing does have sort of resonance with Roswell as well. There's a book called Body Snatchers in the Desert by Nick Redfern. I've not read it, but I've listened to an interview with him talking about it. And he has this theory surrounding Roswell that it's to do with I've forgotten the exact name of the operation that the US were running, but it was basically experiments on prisoners of war and disabled people from a nearby hospital. And there was like a nearby hospital where there was like people with again, I've forgotten the name of the illness, but it's a sort of a like a genetic kind of condition where people have very big heads and like small bodies, and they look a lot like, you know, your classic kind of grey alien type thing. Yeah, similar. And it's
what were they doing to them? Like putting them in?
Yeah, so it was tests that they did on Japanese prisoners of war who had this illness, who it was confirmed, I think Redfern like supposedly, you know, confirmed that there were prisoners of war with this condition staying at this big hospital near Roswell, and it was just testing like these high altitude balloons and stuff, but they didn't want obviously the whole thing where they don't want the public to know about it, so they were like making up all sorts of bollocks to cover it up, but actually the covering it up was kind of turned it into the big like UFO thing, but it was actually a military a military operation, just one that was highly unethical, so they wanted to cover it up. I think it was the Nick Redfern interview on Where Did the Road Go podcast where I heard that, but it was interesting. I'm not sure if I believe it, but it's just more Mirage Men shit basically, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, that's the thing, and I think that people really have to read that book to put all of what's happened in 2023 into context, because like I said at the beginning, I really struggle to find any stories other than UFO or AI stories for the whole of 2023. It's just that those two things sort of really dominated the news stories, and then you started getting a lot of stuff that would link the two. Like towards the end of the year, Encounters came out, which is the Basilica book, which you and I both read. And that does make explicit links between sightings of UFOs and AI technology and that kind of thing. It's really very much in the zeitgeist at the moment.
Yeah.
But moving swiftly on February the 16th, 2023, it was officially confirmed that Jasper Kraus, originally from the Netherlands but living in Roscommon Island, had died on the April 28th of 2022 after being savagely mauled by a chicken in his home. While waiting for emergency services, Kraus was in and out of consciousness and mumbling the word rooster before eventually passing away. He lost his life after suffering severe puncture wounds on his leg. Yeah.
Clucking hell.
Yeah.
Did the chicken cut off his anus?
I don't know, but
or peck it off with its razor sharp beak. Is this part of your seeding of stories about vicious farm animals?
Yeah, I mean, I need to.
You've done it about cows. You've said that cows are the most deadly animal in Britain or something, and now it's chickens. Now it's chickens. Now it's
that's it. It's the Mirage Men, but for farmyard animals. But apparently, the website that I took this from, which I'll link to in the show notes, said that chickens are not predatory animals, but are also not entirely passive either, and have been known to attack humans. And apparently, the attacks that they do are really they can really inflict some serious puncture wounds in a short space of time. Like a chicken could really fuck you up.
Yeah. Was the website you found it on one of those links that Alan Greenfield posts? where you don't want to click on it because you know that it'll just fill your computer with viruses.
This is one that I found where I should have been working at work, and the question had come up about sort of what would win in a fight between, I think it was a penguin and a chicken, and so we found out that actually chickens are extremely deadly animals.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, or they can be under the right circumstances. So also in February of 2023, DARPA revealed that it had enabled an AI to fly an F-16 fighter jet, which given the other sort of revelations in February about UFOs and UFOs being shot down, you start to wonder, is this coincidence about what's happening here? So it's not like a drone, which is obviously like a flying weapon often that has no pilot, but
it's piloted by someone, isn't it? It's controlled by someone remotely.
Well, yeah, they're often controlled by someone remotely, but they can be completely autonomous, but they're very simple when they're completely autonomous. Whereas like an F-16 fighter jet is an extremely complex piece of machinery. Which,
like a chicken, really.
Extremely deadly as well. They actually have a lot in common.
They can fly. Or can chickens fly? Are they flightless?
A little bit. They can fly a little bit. Yeah. Nothing to write home about. But yeah, I mean, like an F-16, people train for years and years and years to fly those things, and even then, it's an extremely skilled thing. And I mean, the thing that I think is that, I mean, what they're saying is that these systems will be used to assist pilots. They won't actually be sent out to war.
Assist them to not have a job anymore.
Yeah. But the thing with this kind of technology is that if technically they can conceivably do it, they're probably already doing it.
Yeah, they did it. They did it like 5 years ago, whatever, yeah.
And if it can be used in a way that's hostile, then that's probably what it's been developed for.
Yeah, so, like everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they're not going to be looking at this and thinking like, oh, this will be fine help to our fighter pilots, as fallible, emotional, and
let's help the boys out
as they are. Yeah, no, I mean they're going to be sending these things into war. I'm sure of it. If they haven't
kill
already.
More people with this,
exactly. Yeah. So in February we released an interview with Ken Akins from the Right Way You're Sitting Now podcast, and we released our side Vayse about darkness.
Ooh, the darkness sound.
Yeah.
It was about darkness. It wasn't about the band The Darkness.
No, it's an important distinction.
We might do an episode about them maybe in another sort of 5 or 6 years, and we've run out of topics, and we're just a sort of an alternative rock nostalgia podcast, which is what I've been hoping for all along, really. But
it's always the way it was going.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
March 2023.
In last year's Weird Review of the Year, we discussed in the section about November 2022 the case of 11 schoolgirls in the Agricultural Technical Institute in Hato in Colombia who'd been hospitalized after playing with a Ouija board. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it happened again, but this time with 28 schoolgirls at the Galeras Educational Institution, also in Colombia, being hospitalized after playing with a Ouija board and reportedly fainting and suffering from anxiety. So that's like 28 people being hospitalized for that. Yeah. Like, what's happening in Colombia with these Ouija boards? Why are there so many young girls playing with them?
I don't know. I'm wondering, you know how on Lost there's the the cocaine that's hidden inside the it's heroin, isn't it? It's not cocaine. Anyway, same principle. There's heroin hidden inside the Virgin Mary statues.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
maybe there was cocaine hidden inside Ouija boards. Okay, and there was a shipment of them, and they fell, and then the girls were playing with them, and they were getting all cocaine in them, and they're like, "Oh, what's this powder? Let's taste it." So anyway, they were getting really anxious, and that's what's happening. They had to go to the hospital.
That could be it. That could be it. There's some good research there.
Occam's razor.
Yep.
I applied Occam's razor there.
Yep, that's it. So yeah, it's extremely.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm still a little bit scared of Ouija boards, I have to admit.
Yeah, do you know, I watched, I had COVID a couple of weeks ago, and for some reason I decided to watch The Exorcist. I don't know if it's because I felt I'd relate to a person with a horrible entity in their body.
Yeah.
But I wanted to watch something old.
50 years old in 2023.
Yeah, just like comforting, and I don't know. Well, not really comforting, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like old films that you've seen before, nice sort of nostalgia feeling. And I forgot that the way that the demon is introduced is through the Ouija board.
Yeah.
He's introduced to the girl. She's playing with the Ouija board with Captain Howdy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still a really good film. It's still a really genuinely unsettling, creepy film.
2 more UFO stories for March of 2023. We have a cylindrical UFO being filmed over Iraq, videoed by a spy plane, and it shows a cylindrical object apparently flying over Baghdad. There's a video on this, which I'll put in the show notes.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
That was quite a popular one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now, what makes me think is that it's Corbell and Knapp who did that video.
Right.
And it made me think of the recent Corbell jellyfish UAP.
For fuck's sake.
the bird shit.
The bird shit on the lens.
Yeah. And it starts to make me think sort of, you know, like, I'm genuinely shocked by that video of the bird shit.
Yeah, I'm genuinely shocked that people don't realise that it's bird shit.
Yeah.
That there's people in this world who have not been sat in a car whilst there's bird shit on the window.
Yeah. Now, they're saying, oh, well, it can move around and it changes colour and stuff.
But that's because it's the gimbal on the camera, isn't
Yes.
it? It's like it's like a lens within a lens.
Yes.
So it moves slightly.
Yes, and it looks dark against a white background, and it looks white against a dark background. Yeah. Now, this is like pretty simple stuff.
Yeah, it's simple eye physics. I don't know what the actual technical term for that is, but you know what I mean. Eye physics.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Let's call it that. But some people don't know about eye physics, apparently.
No.
And there's been people who've been saying that this thing is a genuine, unexplained flying object. The credibility of this stuff is being undermined to such an extent that I'm actually scared.
It's seeing Jesus in a piece of toast, isn't it?
It's not even that good.
It's the same, but like, you know, it is just like we've said, and many people have said, it's just like the beginnings of a religion.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
the zealotry.
Yeah, but
Dogma.
It's just like, yeah, it is mad seeing like people who appear to be grown adults who are capable of stringing a sentence together, but not actually realizing that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing is very, very unsettling. In last year's review of the year, 2022, we discussed the Calvine UFO photo, the Scottish one, which had remained a mystery for over 20 years, and that photo had been released. Yeah. I think it was August of 2022. But apparently a former BBC producer, Simon Holland, believes that he may have found the answer to what that actually was.
Right.
Because the MOD previously stated that no known Harriers were flying in Perthshire on the 4th of August 1990, which is when the photo was taken.
Yeah.
And that is what it looks like. It looks like a kind of Harrier sort of shape. And
like on this, yeah.
Yeah. But what Simon Holland says is that was a massive clue as to what this was, because what he discovered was that the only other British Harriers were privately owned by BAE Systems, the defence contractor. And they used their Harriers as multi-role defense test platform, testing BAE advanced technology. And when he dug deeper, he found that Marconi Advanced Materials, based inside BAE HQ at Wharton, Lancashire, which is close to us,
it is.
Were probably working on an advanced stealth skin material for the USAF. So he thinks that that's what it was. It was just a privately owned Harrier that was using this new technology.
Now, there's a thing. Who'd have thought a UFO sighting actually turned out to be some kind of advanced military technology that was kind of secret?
I know. And of course,
shocking.
The proximity to Lancashire, in Wharton, they're still messing with weird stuff. So according to the India Times, on the 4th of March, 2023, there's a woman called Kesha in Chicago who eats around 70 sheets of toilet paper a day and has been doing that for around 23 years. 23, of course. Her mother...
Does she eat anything else or just the toilet paper?
I reckon she must eat something because I don't think you could sustain yourself for 23 years off shit tickets alone.
No.
Her mother was reported to have said, "It's like crack to her. I've never been able to understand why she eats tissue, and I never will."
It's like crack a common Indian idiom?
Well, it's not. It was in the Indian Times, but it was in Chicago.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
it's Chicago. So yeah. Okay.
Right. So there's quite a lot going on here because, like, this woman obviously suffers from pica, also known as zeophagia, which is something that we definitely haven't talked about on Vayse before, but is weird, and that's the compulsive eating of non-food items. Weirdly, pica comes from the medieval word for magpie. I don't know whether
because magpie's Latin name is pica pica.
There you go. It can be temporary, this condition, such as in pregnant people who often want to eat non-food things, or it can be developmental, and it can also affect animals such as like dogs and cats. And
let me guess, dogs and cats are the most deadly animal in England, and they'll kill us. And
you said it, not me. But you also get really famous people for it. Like there's one called Michel Lotito, who was a Frenchman who could eat things like bicycles, shopping trolleys, televisions, beds, and he once even ate a light aircraft. And apparently he developed this condition when he was about 9, and doctors think that he also had an unusually thick stomach lining, which allowed him to do this without any harm, which is a bit like the opposite of me, really, who I eat normal food and get ill. But it also reminds me of a really excellent short story. Well, it's actually a short novel by Harry Crews called Car. And Harry Crews, of course, was mentioned in the Pennyroyal podcast as a possible candidate for James Shelby Downey Jr. on the Serious Riding tapes. Harry Crews also contributes to one of my favourite films of all time, the Searching for the Wrong Guy Jesus, which is an amazing documentary which I'd search out if you can. It's actually available if you're in Britain. It's on iPlayer. I'd definitely recommend it. But that's an incredible short story about a guy who just basically sits down and eats a car piece by piece. Well, it's not even, it's a full novel actually. And that's basically what happens. I'd really, really recommend that people get hold of a copy of that novel. There's a volume called Classic Cruise, which starts off with his incredible autobiography and then has a couple of novels and a few essays all together, and you can get that off Amazon for less than 20 quid, and I would definitely recommend people reading it.
Have you ever suffered from pica, Hine?
I sometimes eat hair wax, like certain types of hair wax and certain types of hair conditioner and stuff. If it smells like honey or something like that, then
I just want to give it like a little try.
Yeah, I feel obliged to eat a little bit.
Yeah.
I
chew pens.
Do you swallow them?
Not if I can help it.
Yeah.
Although obviously I imagine occasionally a little bit will break off and go in, but no.
Would you gobble down shit tickets for kicks?
Not when you phrase it like that. I don't know. If I was paid, if I could sort of slip it inside, I don't know,
something else, like
a sandwich, put some hot sauce on it and stuff. But no. Empty calories in it,
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's barely worth it, really.
No.
I don't know what she was thinking. I never will. But also, she was called Kesha, who, by the coincidence, was that in the May of 2023, Kesha, pop star Kesha, released one of the best albums of the year, possibly the decade so far, Gag Order. I just had to get that in there. Have a listen to it. It's great.
It is, I concur.
Yeah.
One of my albums of the year, I think.
And definitely. And Kesha is probably my dream guest for Vayse. She used to actually have a rival podcast about weird stuff called Kesha and the Creepies, where she interviewed nobodies that I've never heard of, like Alice Cooper, St. Vincent, Kelly Osbourne, Mitch Horowitz. So, Kesha, if you're listening, give us a shout. We love your music. We love your genuine attitude, I think. Please come on Vayse and talk to us. I'm sure she listens.
Well, if she doesn't, Rick Rubin probably does, and he'll probably get in touch.
Yeah.
With her, just sort of say, hey, Kesh, these guys in England. Yeah.
And finally, in March of 2023, Mr. Uri Geller from Israel posted on Twitter, this was 29th of March 2023, a video of two UFOs saying that these objects were from outside our solar system. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about this is that one of them was a cylindrical object, like the Baghdad Phantom that I mentioned at the beginning of March.
Right, okay. A tin can.
Yeah, but it's not clear where this footage was taken, when or by who, and any further evidence of this visitation is yet to be produced. So, in March, we spoke for the first time that year to Mr. Bob Freeman, and we released the Catherine Preston episode.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. One of the only times that we've interviewed someone in person as well.
I think it's the only time we've interviewed someone in person. Yeah.
No, because we did Rick Bennett.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I wonder what Catherine's up to now.
I don't know. Hopefully she's writing a new book.
Yeah, we'll get her on again.
Yes.
April 2023.
So yeah, as I've mentioned before, this whole year is just UFOs and AI. So I have been trying to pick out stories which aren't that. But it's been really difficult. So first up in April, Elon Musk, he set up a new AI firm called XAI, which doesn't sound ominous at all. I mean, like, given how his takeover of Twitter's gone, I'm not sure whether we really should be worried about him developing any sort of effective AI at all.
It's very hard to take him seriously as a person, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then he also has a lot of money.
It's this whole thing about narcissist billionaires being able to sort of privately own and develop this stuff that's worrying, really. Because he doesn't have to have any expertise or skills at all. He can just pay other people to do nefarious shit. And, he's got enough money to just chuck it at people.
He can fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, the background to this is that back in 2015, Musk co-founded OpenAI with a load of other rich guy tech guys, apparently with the goal of creating artificial intelligence that could benefit humanity without causing harm or being influenced by corporate or political agendas.
Lol.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, well known for his anti-corporate stance.
Exactly. Then in 2018, he tried and failed to take over OpenAI, as he does. Yeah. And then he left their board in a strop when he failed, and then started publicly criticizing them, which, is what he does.
Okay. Like a big baby.
Yeah. So in commenting about Elon Musk's new AI firm, XAI, the OpenAI co-founder and CEO, Sam Altman, has issued a one-word statement to the Wall Street Journal concerning. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be wanker.
Yeah, I think that's Vayse's one-word statement about that. So on April 19th, the US Senate committee held open hearings on the UFO issue.
Yeah, that was pretty bonkers, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there were no revelations. There was sort of no revelatory UFO reports. But apparently UFO reports are becoming more frequent. But there's no proof that they're extraterrestrial aliens. And that was probably the only valuable things that they said in that, is that sightings becoming more frequent, no evidence that they're aliens. During the open portion, Sean Kirkpatrick, who was chosen as the first director of the Pentagon's new All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which is ARO, definitively stated that out of hundreds of UAP cases his office had reviewed, ARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. There was a new video released at the hearings of what appears to be a spherical object, another ball there, that was filmed by an MQ-9 Reaper drone somewhere in the Middle East. That one was actually fairly subdued compared to the later ones.
It was just a teaser, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just really like, just the fact alone that they were talking about it was pretty sort of weird.
Yeah.
You know, if they'd have gone straight into one of the later ones, it would have been a bit more of a ontological shock, as they say. But it was, you know, they had to kind of tease it in, didn't they? With kind of,
like a soft opening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. On 12th of April 2023, which was my 41st birthday, a Spanish athlete, Beatriz Flamini, emerged from a cave in Granada, Spain, after she spent 500 days isolated there alone as part of a project called Time Cave to determine the impact of social isolation and extreme temporary disorientation on things like the perception of time and circadian rhythm.
This was intentional. This was like with her consent.
Yeah,
this wasn't accidental. Right,
she did it to herself as she volunteered for this. I have an interest in this because it relates to some of the research I did for the side Vayse that we did on darkness.
Oh yeah.
And apparently she said that she's lost track of time after about 2 months in the cave, and she thought that she'd only been in there for about 160 or 170 days. She described the experience as excellent, unbeatable. yeah.
Jesus Christ. I thought you were going to say, because you said it was your birthday, and a Spanish lady, I thought you were going to say she emerged from a cake. Like as a birthday present, you'd got a Spanish lady to come out of a cake.
I wish that were the case, but unfortunately it was a cave in a different country.
Don't worry.
That was the story of my life.
Don't worry, there'll be other birthdays, my friend.
She said, in fact, I didn't want to come out, which I'm sure we'll be hearing from any cake ladies in the future. But I find the whole thing fascinating because, like, some people wouldn't have been able to do that. She's obviously
I wouldn't have been able to do that.
I wouldn't have been able to do that. She's obviously.
I mean, I wouldn't have volunteered to do that either.
No, but she's obviously
can't do that.
She's an athlete and she must have like extreme mental resilience. I mean, that must be massive. It makes me think about like how essential is human contact. Because we're hearing more and more about like social isolation being a factor in things like dementia and depression and stuff. And yet she went there for 500 days and just thought it was brilliant. On the other hand, I mean, like losing a sense of time like that does sound really good. Because we live in such a time of like time stress, you know, everything's pressured, you know, we've got to get up with our alarms, we've got to go to work. While she was in the cave, she read about 60 books. That's about
she had like stuff to do, did she?
Yeah,
she wasn't just sat in.
No, she was isolated, but she wasn't in total darkness.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad. So she had like food, water, stuff to do.
Yes.
Light. A toilet, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, she said that about every 5 poos, she sent her sewage away, and like she said, like an offering to the gods, and in return they gave her food. So all of that was being taken care of. She read 60 books. So yeah, so
not that bad then. And was she relatively comfortable? Was she in a?
I think she must have been. Yeah, she must have had a bed or something.
Why did they put her in a cave? Why didn't they just put her like in a
dark room?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's easier than making a dark room to have a dark cave.
There's already dark rooms.
Is there? I mean, how dark are we talking? Like isolate? I mean, I suppose it wasn't dark in there anyway, was it?
It wasn't dark in there anyway, so they could have just put her in like a room.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they had a lot of caves.
I think they were just being dramatic.
Well, personally. Maybe, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Perhaps they just have like a surplus of caves. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I mean, so she was reading a book about every 8 days. Which is what I was doing at my
book
peak.
About what, sorry?
No, but yeah, well done. So like the thing is, like I was reading a book every 7 days at my peak. So that's
when was your peak? When you were like,
well, like about that. So that was about 2017, 2016.
was that your peak?
That was my peak of book reading. Yeah,
I think you're at your peak now. I think.
Well, at that moment, I'm lucky if I read like 8 pages.
Oh,
a day.
I don't mean you.
You think?
I just mean in general.
You think that I'm peaking at the moment?
Maybe, I don't know.
I sincerely hope not. like
You're in your element.
Well, yeah. I'm in my prime. I'm not going to deny that. But yeah, am I peaking? I don't know.
Sorry, I keep disrupting what you're saying.
It's all nonsense anyway. But yeah, I mean, to conclude that the clock is such a powerful tool of capitalism. That I don't get to read anymore is where I was going with that.
Right.
Yeah. Capitalism stops me from reading. Which I think is what they want. It's what they want, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in April, we released our Donnie Darko episode and our interview with Mark Pilkington, author of Mirage Men. Read it.
May 2023.
So I'm not going to go into this story, but in May, it was reported that at the very end of April, US jets were scrambled to intercept a UFO over Hawaii, and it turned out to be another balloon. So yeah, read Mirage Men. In May, it was reported that the results of DNA testing on hair found on barbed wire fence in the British countryside had come through, proving definitively that big cats prowl the British countryside.
Nice.
Yeah. And apparently a forensic laboratory analysed the hair using mitochondrial DNA methods to ascertain a 99.9% match to a species of black leopard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think these are deadlier than the cows then?
Well, I don't think so.
No. Not statistically, because
not
cows
to humans.
Have killed more people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although there are more cows. But you never hear about someone being killed in Britain by being mauled by a leopard. But
so even though the leopard is technically deadlier, the cow
is more violent and bloodthirsty.
Well, yeah.
See, the cow operates with malice. It's essentially an evil creature. The leopard's noble, keeps itself to itself, minds its own business, takes the occasional sheep. You see, the cow kills for fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, this reminds me a lot of the alien big cat stories that we used to read as a kid. You got like the Beast of Bodmin Moor, the Beast of Exmoor, the Staffordshire Panther, and there's loads of folklore and urban legend around these things. There's some pretty convincing photos too, if you look online, and there's some less convincing photos as well. It's often just a Labrador.
Yeah.
But there's a new documentary that came out in 2023 called Panthera Britannia Declassified, which you can find on various platforms. Now, unfortunately, the lab that did the tests that identified that hair have remained anonymous, which I can think is like a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
What do you reckon to alien big cats, real or not?
Alien big cats?
I mean, when I say alien big cats, that's what they call them, ABCs, isn't it? It just means like out of their territory.
I'm agnostic, really. I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? I don't think it's one of those things where it's kind of like a classic cryptid, isn't it? Where it's not got like a sort of almost kind of spectral sort of thing to it, like your Bigfoot stuff. It's just like an animal that's displaced somehow.
I mean, I'm pretty much. I'd say I was 99% sold on.
I don't see any reason why not. It's probably not particularly common, but
well, that's it. I mean, there's theories that maybe they're kind of like illegal exotic pets that have escaped from people's
like that
collections.
Tiger King guy and stuff.
I mean, it's not legal in this country like it is in the US, but people would be doing it.
People do things that aren't legal.
They do.
And
there's also theories that they could be some sort of native species that are thought to become extinct that haven't. I don't really buy into that. I think escapees is probably, happening over, decades and decades.
I imagine they're pretty hardy animals.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of they're a predator. They'd be able to kill
sheep,
rabbits, sheep.
Yeah, I mean, they're often. This is what often tips people off to them, is that you find mauled sheep,
right.
and then they analyze the tooth marks, and then in this case, they also found some hair as well. But I think it's probably mainly just escapees. I can't imagine that there's a breeding population anywhere in the country, really. Families of them or anything. I think they'd be too easily found out. I think it's probably that every now and then one escapes from somewhere, and
So I don't think we're heading for a sort of cat-based Jurassic Park situation for a good while yet.
No, I hope not.
No.
Also in May, Gary Nolan. Here we go with Gary Nolan. Said at Global Leadership and Networking Forum in New York City, the SALT iConnection Forum, which took place between May 16th and May 18th, 2023, that extraterrestrial intelligence has not only visited Earth, but it's been here a long time and it's still here. He also claimed that whistleblowers who have worked on reverse engineering down craft had recently given classified testimonies to Congress, creating a hornet's nest in Washington. So I think this is foreshadowing Grush.
Yeah.
When asked by the presenter at the forum what probability he would assign to the presence of alien intelligence being here on Earth now, he said 100%. So, I mean, what's interesting to me in this, well, part of what's interesting is that Nolan was one of the pseudonymous scientists who was referred to in American Cosmic, D.W. Pasulka's first book.
He was like James or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. And
the one that wasn't Tyler.
That's it, yeah. He outed himself, which Pasulka talks about in Encounters. And again, Encounters is a really interesting book. So Nolan said at the conference, the first question people will ask is, well, if they're so frigging advanced, why are they crashing? And what he says is that because what's crashing is not actual living things. I use this example a lot. If you want to study a tribe of cannibals in the middle of the Amazon, are you going to go yourself and show up in the middle of the tribe and not hopefully become dinner? Which I think that's a bit racist, really, to sort of
a little bit racist, yeah.
A little bit racist. But going back to what Gary Nolan was saying, if you're an advanced intelligence, you're not going to put your life in limit risk by coming here. And he went on to say, mostly what you're seeing here are either drones or some sort of advanced AI or whatever it is. Which again,
because I think Lavender mentions that in what's it called? The
Sinister Forces.
No,
the
one with Tom DeLonge.
Oh, Secret Machines.
Yeah.
The
idea that sort of it would be more likely to be a drone.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be. Even the Greys don't necessarily have to be. Living. The fact that the sort of mythology of them is that they're almost like insect-like.
Yeah.
And they don't, sort of the way that they behave and the way that they move and stuff is that kind of. I mean, I can't not think of them as they are in the Communion film, but like, which is genuinely creepy. But it's like, that does actually make sense.
Yeah, and the host went on to ask Nolan. When he referred to Downcraft, if he was sure that humans possessed literal physical material to evaluate and to analyze, and again Nolan said 100% yes. So he's saying that they did.
It's all. The thing is, there's all sorts of. It seems like there's all sorts of little language loopholes that they're using. Do you know what I mean? Like saying, non-human biologics or whatever. And stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's like they're trying to get around some. There's some kind of like fuckery happening, isn't there?
Well, we got to put it out there as well that Nolan has got known ties to the CIA.
Surprise!
Yeah, he's previously consulted, in his own words, with people associated with the CIA and some aeronautics corporations.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. So I mean, again, this is just like the stuff in Encounters about all that AI stuff and the stuff in Secret Machines, as you say. And people on both sides, Secret Machines and Encounters, they both have connections in the CIA, and weirdly, like immunology as well, because Gary Nolan is an immunologist. That was his profession, and Louis Elizondo majored in immunology at university.
Wow.
I don't know what that connection is or why it's there, but it is a connection.
We better be careful. We're going to have loads of like, COVID isn't real, guys. Like,
yeah,
saying it's to do with that.
But there is definitely a connection between the stuff that's in Encounters and the stuff that's in Secret Machines.
Yeah, I mean, they're both heavily leaning towards sort of the consciousness,
spirituality
type stuff, aren't they? Yeah. Just with a slightly different angle. Like Lavender's almost coming at it from a more almost Eric von Däniken kind of ancient astronauts sort of angle, whereas Pasulka's a bit more tech / religion and the place where they meet kind of thing.
Yeah. It's interesting though. That's kind of the agenda now, isn't it? Is that sort of what that both those things have in common? Is that sort of almost like idea of lost intelligence, or like indigenous beliefs being powerfully accurate in terms of describing the phenomena, whether that's through. I mean, Secret Machines goes on a lot about the shamanistic stuff. The Pasulka stuff is more biblical. Like you've got your angels and your archangels and your saints and that kind of thing. But both of them have this thing of non-scientific technology, I suppose, is the
pre-scientific.
Yeah, pre-scientific technology
sort of thing.
Or technology of the mind. I don't know. It's interesting that this agenda is being pushed so heavily, because I really, really enjoyed Encounters. It really made me think. I didn't feel that it was a particularly well-written book. I felt like it was a bit rushed, but I also kind of got the feeling from reading it that it was rushed in order to get whatever was in there out before what I imagine to be a rush of this sort of thing starts coming. The exact angle that she's taken in Encounters.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Whereas I guess Secret Machines doesn't seem rushed. I mean, Lavender took 25 years to write Sinister Forces, so he's quite thorough. But because I'm on the third Sinister Forces book at the moment, and Lavender's talking about Whitley Strieber, which is interesting given this was obviously written. Oh, I don't know. This was like I think the third Sinister Forces was 2011, so a good sort of 10 years before Secret Machines.
I think it was earlier, the Sinister Forces. I think
first one was.
Yeah.
So, but it may. I don't know what order they were written in. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But he's talking about Whitley Strieber and his, and basically the angle he seems to be sort of suggesting is to do with Nazi scientists, and basically like a facility that Whitley went to when he was younger. For gifted children, where sort of various things were done to him, but it happened to be run by like a Nazi scientist who'd come
Project
over.
Paperclip.
Yeah. So like, and then there was another guy that it happened to as well that had all sorts of weird shit happen, who also went to a similar place. And it's like, I guess the implication is it's something related to those sort of 1950s kind of proto MK Ultra / remote viewing type experiments, and it's something to do with that. So, but I don't know what his angle is now on Whitley and on how it relates to what he's saying in Secret Machines, because I know I picked up Prisoner of Infinity by Jason Horsley, which is sort of analysing the Whitley Strieber thing and coming up with his sort of kind of almost a criticism of it, really, and saying like, this is what I think it is, sort of thing. I've not read it yet, but I get the impression that what he's essentially saying is what happened to Strieber is sort of screen memories or and he's turning it into something else subconsciously or whatever. But apparently he says something in the foreword. I've only just skimmed like the foreword bit, but he argued with Lavender about it. Lavender like wrote to him, and they had like a disagreement over email about what happened to Whitley Strieber. So
imagine arguing with Peter Lavender.
Yeah, he's a very reasonable man, I imagine.
I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him.
Oh yeah, no.
So finally, on the 25th of May, the FDA approved Musk's Neuralink for human trials. I mean, do you want one of Elon Musk's fucking chips in your brain, Buckley?
No, I don't want anything belonging to Elon Musk in my body.
He's made some radical claims regarding his future vision for the technology. He's claimed that Neuralink could augment human intelligence by creating an on-demand connection with artificial intelligence systems, of course, allowing, for example, improved cognition through enhanced memory, improved learning, improved problem-solving skills. He's even gone so far as to say that the link could allow high-bandwidth telepathic communication between two or more people connecting via a mediating computer. Now, this kind of reminds me of how he desperately tried to colonize Mars, and he's pumping billions of dollars into that rather than putting the funds into healing Earth. Like, he's putting all his research into using computers and AI to enhance human intelligence and create telepathy. Why doesn't he research what's already there? You know, the CIA approved.
He wants to be like a sort of tech villain, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's just like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the CIA proved in the 70s that ESP remote viewing were real. And that's what we should be researching rather than all this unnecessary surgery, especially at a time when antibiotics are losing effectivity and surgery in the future will likely carry a much higher risk than it does now.
Yeah.
In fact, why isn't Musk pumping billions into researching new antibiotics?
I can't understand why people like admire him so much.
No.
Okay, so maybe like teenage boys and stuff.
Yeah.
But like people who are otherwise quite sensible. Like,
yeah.
There's just nothing like. I don't think he's even that good at being what he wants to be, what he thinks he is, or it's just like
he's not very self-aware, is he?
He's not in the slightest.
All these projects, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, amongst all the others that he's doing, they aren't actually to help humanity. They're vanity projects.
Yeah, they're just ego, aren't they?
Yeah, he thinks that he's a prophet or a savior of mankind or something. Who's going to save us all. It's fairly pathetic, really.
Do you remember when there was that guy trapped in a cave and Musk thought he could like find his way out of it, and the actual cave expert was like, no, that's not going to work, and so Musk called him a paedophile.
Yeah.
Like,
well, listen to this. Veterinary reports have shown that over a dozen monkeys have died as a result of Neuralink testing, some in really, really gruesome ways.
Right.
So later in 2023, Musk released a statement saying that, and I'll leave his spelling mistakes and grammatical errors in for effect.
Please do.
No monkey has died as a result of Neuralink implant. First, our early implants to minimize risk to health monkeys, we chose terminal monies close to death already.
Okay.
So if you have a strong stomach, I'll link to a Wired article, which in the show notes, which will detail some of these monkeys died. Now, according to a report in The Guardian, which I'll also link to, if you add other animals such as sheeps and pigs, sheeps and pigs into the mix, about 1,500 animals have died in the name of Neuralink since 2018.
And that's probably the ones that we know about.
Yeah,
There's probably more.
So that's about 300 a year up to 2023 when this news article was from.
Yeah.
I wish he would just fuck off to Mars.
Yeah, or just like I don't know.
Just fuck off altogether.
I wouldn't wish death on him, or I can't even be bothered talking about him anymore.
No, we'll move on.
Yeah.
So May, we released our interview with Dara Mason, which was an extremely good one, and he very generously had us on Spirit Box. We released a side Vayse where we went up Engelsark with Rick Bennett as well, which was a lot of
Rick
fun.
Bennett.
Yeah. Shout out to Rick Bennett.
It was good. It was good. It's also in May, I got married, which is a very bizarre occurrence.
Yes. Yeah, you did.
You know, that isn't something that I would have seen coming. And for our honeymoon, me and my wife went to Prague, which is a very strange and magical city where all sorts of weird John Dee stuff happened. That's apparently where he received the Enochian language, I think.
Where was it?
Yeah. So it's and I know Mr. Alan Greenfield has said on Twitter that Prague is the most magical city in the world. So, is
it the most magical city that you've been to so far?
It probably is. You know, it's probably the one that's had the weirdest vibe. Yeah. May was a good one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's quite enough of that fucking nonsense for now. If you're sincerely committed to hearing more of this bullshit, you're going to have to tune in again next week. Good night and sweet dreams to all. Stay weird. I love you.